I said all I need to say about Giannis, but it led me right into my Rodemnation, which has to do with these podcasts that I mentioned during my take about Giannis there. One in particular being a podcast that I promise you, I like this podcast. I like all three people involved with this podcast, but one particular person has just absolutely driven me too far over the past couple of weeks. Tim Bontemps, I'm sorry, my guy. You are part of Rodemnation this week. It is the Hoop Collective with Brian Windhorst, my guy. Okay. Brian Windhorst is the host of the podcast. People aren't tuning in to hear you step over and cut off Brian Windhorst to continually make the same point. It doesn't become smarter, Tim, just because it comes out of your mouth. Okay. Stop talking all the time. I know I talk an awful lot, but I believe, because I tell Jimmy this all the time, that if I start getting to the point where I cut off people and I make everybody only say the things that I said because it sounds smarter coming out of my mouth, to let me know. Tim Bontemps, I'm not saying I'm anti you. I'm not saying I'll never listen to the podcast again, but you get Rodemnation, my man. You've got to stop cutting off the host of the podcast.
I love that, Rod. I think of you every time he interrupts. Especially this last podcast when Brian even said, shocking, you're interrupting me when I'm trying to make a point. That was great. I do love that podcast. It's one of my favorites, and he does interrupt quite a lot. We get it. We understand what you're saying, but he'll also interrupt and say something that basically is the same thing he's interrupting about. He just, like, another word is put in there or whatnot, and yeah, there's no subtlety there at all. I do think it has a lot to do, too. If you're a writer, you get to go and you get to write and you get to edit and you get to figure it out, and then you get to put out your best at the very end. And, you know, in wrestling, we're going to talk about Dave Meltzer does the same thing. He'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about something when he doesn't have that editor, and he interrupts people because he has a thought in his mind. He's got to put it down on a piece of paper. This time he's just putting it out into the world. Hey, Chris, a podcast is something that you use. Well, okay. So a phone has changed over the years, Chris.
It reminds me of the I think, I can't remember, maybe it was Pootie Tang, where you had the two guys and he's like, man, it is really hot out. And the other guy walks up, he's like, yeah, you know, it's hot out too.
That is definitely Pootie Tang.
It is. I think Giannis will be on a different team next week. I think it's going to be one of two teams. I think it's going to be the Timberwolves or the Warriors.
Nice.
I really want it to be the Timberwolves, because if he does the Warriors thing, I think it's going to be a little too close to what KD did, and just say, oh, you're going to try to go to a juggernaut. Even though they're not a juggernaut anymore, I think that'll still be what's going to be said about it. If he goes to the Timberwolves, they haven't won, and they haven't been relevant forever. Now, they've been in the conference championship the past couple of years, which is great. But if he goes there and he and Ant together can bring a championship to another city that has not won one, that would be really good for Giannis. So I think Giannis going to the Timberwolves would be the way to go there. So let's go a little bit more north. And you know what? Let's give Minnesota a little happiness. Why not, Rod?
Certainly. Minnesota could absolutely use a pick-me-up right about now. This is not the podcast for any further discussion on that, but everyone knows what I mean.